and welcome into Poke the Bear, episode 31. 31, can't believe it. 31 episodes. I'm Evan Marinofsky, alongside Conor Ryan of Boston Sports Journal. Conor, how are we doing?
Evan, I'm doing splendid. How you doing?
Doing well. It's a beautiful day to podcast.
Every day is.
Every day, especially for all the people on Twitter who say that's all we do. It is always a beautiful day for us to podcast, but it's made more fun. We always say during the season, in the middle of seasons, you need some stuff to spice things up a little bit. You know, sometimes the games can get not boring because again we've learned our lesson. We can't ever say things are boring like maybe we used to, but you have things come up during seasons that help add some flavor to it all. And I tweeted out on Wednesday. I don't know what days the weeks are anymore, but on Wednesday I tweeted out a beautiful Bleacher Report article that was like 5 places that Sidney Crosby could end up, because obviously, as people who might not be aware of this, was it Drager who said that if the Penguins don't make the playoffs this year or aren't contenders, that he wouldn't be surprised to see Crosby ask for a trade? I think it was Darren Drager.
I think it was Darren Trags, yeah, but I'm not entirely sure. But the narrative is out there at the very least.
Yes. So the narrative now, people are saying, well, who could he go to? Who could now the two obvious ones are the Avalanche and the Rangers. I think those are the two ones that they have the most to give up. They wouldn't become like a bad team getting Crosby. I mean, nobody would, but you wouldn't. They still have a lot of people that they could give up. They could, spare Bowen Byram or Capo Caco and be totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the first team Bleacher Report mentioned was your Boston Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh boy, I can't wait to see what they said as the package that goes to the Penguins. And
Pasta, a few of those got McAvoy, right? Kahlo.
Bruce Cassidy.
Yeah. That's what they said, right? Or
well, you were close.
Okay.
These guys are on the same team. That's about it.
Okay.
He said a pitch for Crosby could include a winger such as Jake DeBrusk or Anders Bjork.
Okay.
Both have struggled to meet expectations of Boston and might benefit from a change of scenery. That's true. Don't know how you pitch the Penguins on that, but, sure. It could also cost the Bruins a promising player, such as center Jack Studnicka or Urho Vakanainen.
Oh, shit. All right. I'm kind of teetering on the edge here, Evan. Are we done? Because I don't want to give up too much in this.
We have some more.
Jesus Christ.
As well as
my God,
1 or 2 first-round picks. And we are not done there. We are not done there. We have 2 more. A young defenseman such as Connor Clifton or Jeremy Lozon
we gotta walk away.
Included. Could also be included.
I understand the need for Bruins fans to want to chase a cup, but they cannot mortgage their future off of one player, especially a guy who is clearly past his prime in Sidney Crosby. Evan, I'm not a fan of it. No, you cannot make a trade like that.
They lost me at Urho. You put Urho in there, and you have a whole different ballgame.
Like, honestly, the gall in that writer to drop Urho in, it's just like, what are we talking about here? Do we know who? Yeah, this is ridiculous. But first of all, my main question is, I thought you wrote this because based on the way that the Pittsburgh jabronis were coming after you, I thought you were the one who wrote this story. Or
oh yeah, I think. Well, it's so funny. That's why I wanted to preface in the tweet. If you just read the tweet, I said Bleacher Report said this. I did not say
people
this.
Read tweets.
Incredible. Normally you don't expect people to read the article, but I thought people at least read the tweets. That was my favorite thing when Mark Meadows picked it up and said the stupid AF, which by the way, it is stupid, but I did not write that. So all the Pittsburgh jabronis coming at me saying that I wrote this. I didn't write this. I wouldn't have included Urho. Can't include Urho.
Exactly. Yeah. No. That's what.
I have some respect. I have some respect.
I know how much Evan covets the blue chip prospect, so it seemed out of his character to just willy nilly drop Vakanainen in the middle of that.
You can't you got to be careful. You got to pick and choose your battles here. You got to use your ammunition wisely. Yes, I love this. I absolutely love every aspect of this paragraph, and I saw this. I said, this is gold. Because I love the hypothetical trade scenarios where like you trade an incredible player for like 3 or 4 meh pieces. Like the best piece in there is Studnicka, and that is not even close enough to get like if Pittsburgh saw this, they'd go, well, first they're like, oh, we have to take Connor Clifton's involved, but
they're like, oh god, yeah, they have to get on the horn. They have to bring bring Rutherford out of retirement and just like I have consult him, be like, no, they brought Connor Clifton.
You gotta say yes to this. You gotta say yes to this. You get Cliffy hockey T-shirts in the pro shop.
Yeah, exactly. They'll throw those in as part of the sweetener in the deal is all the Cliffy hockey shirts.
So my takeaway from this, actually, by the way, and I was talking with Spoke Z about this on the side. The beauty of tweets like these, and you know this, is the replies. You get some amazing replies. Like, so there was one guy who said, "Tell Hextall it's Ray Bjork." Ray is spelled it Bjork. Like that tweet is that there's funny tweets, and then there's that tweet.
Yes.
That was perfect. But some of the tweets, it's funny because most people were like, why would the Penguins ever do this? This is the dumbest thing.
Yes.
But some people actually were like, no, that's too much for the Bruins to give up. Why would you want Crosby past his prime? There were so many great, like, if you're the Bruins and the Penguins agreed to this, you would drive all 4 of Bjork, DeBrusk, Lozon, Cliff. You would drive them to Pittsburgh.
Yes. No, it's
like, I'm struggling to find the replies because there's a ton, but it's perfect. Every aspect of that proposal was perfect. But there was a legitimate takeaway from this. Like this is like we'll talk about what it would actually take to get Crosby in a minute, but if that's the best package the Bruins could offer, because that really is. I mean, maybe you can throw Beecher in, maybe Beecher instead of Vakanainen. Because like Vakanainen at this point is you're not getting it. I don't even know if you're getting a 3rd round pick for Vakanainen. But if that's the best like trade proposal that you can offer up, who are you getting for that lands a real impact? I mean, that is not that good.
No, I mean, you throw a first in there, you're able to get at least a solid. Let's say
you get a top 6 winger. You get a top 6.
Kyle Palmieri or one of those guys. You get, if you throw a first round pick in there, then then you're talking. Obviously, it wouldn't cost as much as those guys. Even that, just from a basic asset management, like throwing in, Studnicka in a first, you better be getting at least someone good, or at least a guy with term or under a good contract. But yeah, I mean, you compare what a hypothetical offer would be for Crosby and what the Bruins could offer compared to, as you said, the Avalanche or the Rangers. Like those teams could part ways with a lot of guys. It would stink for them. Like let's say the Avalanche get rid of Byram or one of these guys, or even Byram in a first and Alex Newhook, who's down in BC, who's their top player. Along with a lot of other guys, it would suck for them. But also they've got Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon, and it'll be fine. And also they get friggin' Sidney Crosby. So I think they'd be fine. The Bruins don't have that those assets unless you're talking about parting ways with franchise cornerstones on the team, which you obviously don't want to do if you're trading for Crosby, right? Like you're not trading David Pastrnak, you're not trading Charlie McAvoy. Like those are like the two. Like we talked about this, a while back with the Eichel trade. It's like, all right, be fun. Like he's from Massachusetts. He's a very, very good player, but unless you want to give up Charlie McAvoy, you're not getting Jack Eichel.
Oh yeah,
unless
that is the most, because obviously Pastrnak you're not trading. Like that would defeat the purpose of a Sidney Crosby trade. But McAvoy would make sense to go back in a Crosby deal. You're not doing that.
No.
Why you don't have? It's again, as you said, the Avalanche have Makar. They have other really solid defensemen. If they have to get rid of Bowen Byram, like that sucks. But you're getting Crosby and you have other pieces. Bruins do not have that with McAvoy.
No, not at all. So again, it's a fun scenario, but the Bruins have assets that if they need to make a move at the deadline and get, if Kasha still remains out and they need to get a top 6 forward, like a guy like Palmieri, they have the assets to do that, whether it be, first round pick or a few other guys. even like Vakanainen or pieces like that. Like you can lump in a couple of different players. You look at a guy like Palmieri. You look at on defense a guy like Mattias Ekholm, who gets tied to the Bruins a lot as a legitimate top 4 defenseman, a big body.
He's on my fantasy team. I would love that.
Yeah. So, those are guys that they still have the assets to get without severely subtracting from the roster. Like maybe it's, Zaboral or Lozon maybe get put in that deal. I know people, I think, are very hesitant to do anything with Lozon right now because I think his stock has risen significantly. But you can still make a deal for, a guy like Ekholm and improve your roster and part ways with a guy like Lozon if you're going in all in this year. But you're not trading away foundational pieces to get a guy like Crosby just because your roster is not constructed to take that hit. Like, congrats, you have Sidney Crosby. Now you have a major hole in your decor where you give up your 23-year-old defenseman who's a top 5 Norris candidate so far through the first quarter of the year. Like, it's the way they rely on some of these younger players, it just isn't feasible for the Bruins to make deals like that.
Zaboral for Crosby, straight up. You do mention, though, an interesting part about Lozon's stock being so high. Zaboral's stock is insanely high, I feel like, right? Or compared to what it maybe once was. Speaking of stock talk, here we go again. But with Zaboral's stock this high, I mean, maybe, like, now might be the time to trade him. Like, this might be the time you trade a guy like Zaboral. Because as we know and as we've seen, I don't know if there's a lot of room for him to continue to grow. I don't think you're going to see him manning the top power play unit consistently anytime soon. You're not going to see him putting up a ton of 5-on-5 points. Maybe you do, but why not leave that up to other teams to figure out and get something legitimate in return? Now might be the time for a guy like Zaboral to get dealt. But again, you need depth on the back end, and that's an aspect of it that obviously you just can't escape. I just recently actually found, and we can get into the Zaboral trade discussions a little bit more later on towards the trade deadline, because I wouldn't be surprised to see his name pop up in rumors. Someone replied to my tweet, why would Boston want Crosby when they've got Bergeron, a guy who Crosby looked up to? And I said, that's perfect. That is awesome. Like, yes, why would the Bruins why that's perfect.
Why would the Bruins acquire Wayne Gretzky when, it's like if Wayne Gretzky was saying like, no, I'm not as good as Gordie Howe because I looked up to him. It's like, would I take like a fucking 60-year-old Gordie Howe over like, 30-year-old Wayne Gretzky? I think I would probably take Wayne Gretzky in that regard. Like, I don't give a shit who you looked up to. I'll take like who's the best player available.
Yes. Oh yes. No, it's if you go through the replies, I would tell everyone to go look at the replies, because it's like some HF boards caliber stuff. It's good. There's a lot of, it's funny. Yesterday I was working at Turner, like a 12 to 8 shift. And there was a lot. Like, I had a lot of work to do, and I just couldn't help but glance at the replies every few. I was like, I have to look at this. This is too perfect. Just the responses to this are amazing. When Pittsburgh picked it up, though, it wasn't so fun. Getting Cole's cash. Come on, that
was messed up because there's a lot of unnecessary chirping there. Because one, I think Megan tweeted it. It was like, one, moms wouldn't part ways with their Coles cash. That is
never. No.
Like,
have some respect for the moms.
Someone clearly doesn't know the inner workings of the Coles economy and how valuable Coles cash is. So first, like, strike 5 right there from them.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, completely unnecessary. How? If we want to take the side of the Pittsburgh folks, the jabronis, it's like, well, how dare you, Evan, share something that you didn't write without adding like an angle onto it, other than like, look at this dumb shit. How you really went too far. That, like, I probably should have told this to you like before we started recording. I didn't want this on the record, but like, it's a bad look, man. Like, you can't be sharing something you didn't write and adding no editorial comment to it, just to drive the goobers over in Pittsburgh crazy. So let this be a learning moment for all involved. We're not.
It's a learning moment. It's a learning moment. But it's a public relations nightmare for me. My office will be sending a formal apology that I wrote on my notes app later today.
There you go.
But I did love that, the Coles cash thing. And then him going in my profile picture. It's my profile picture. People can see it. It's uses mom's Coles cash. The point of the profile picture is it's not professional. That's the point of it.
The best part too is, that guy sent that tweet out and was like, Nailed it.
Got
and
him.
yeah, got like 2 likes. One with like a dude with like a terrible towel as his profile picture. Like, congrats, man. Congrats being stuck in Pittsburgh. Must be fun.
I like his name is Matt Light. Follow me on IG, Matt Light Comedy. I'll tell you this: when
Hilarious.
comedy is in your username, or when it's in a YouTube title or whatever, I can bet a lot of money that it's actually not funny. Like when you see someone and their name and their thing is comedy, or like 4-time best comedian in Pittsburgh. That's like being the best hockey player in Syria. I mean, really,
no,
like
you
you're not
can't
competing with
flex
anybody.
I thought he was going to be one of those guys where you read their profile and it's like a dude in the car with the sunglasses on, but then also his profile also lists like that he's a fan of about 20 different teams that have no relation. It's like big fan of Red Sox, Chelsea, like Celtic football,
hashtag go Red go.
The Denver Nuggets, the All Blacks, rugby. It's like, no, what the hell are you? What are you following, dude? You weirdo! Like,
yeah, it's funny. I just looked at his pinned tweet. I haven't really taken a look at his Twitter much, but first Sunday without football, going to be a long 6 months, and it's a TikTok of him doing a sketch. By the way, I'm all about respecting the grind. Like whether it's comedy, what we do, whatever it is, I'm all about respecting it. But I'm just watching this. It really isn't that funny. I've seen this many times.
I was going to say, respect the grind, but the stipulation, if you have comedies, you have to be funny. And if you're not really funny, then you're kind of doing a shitty job. So
yeah, this guy. Yeah, it shows him, not knowing what to do all with himself all day. I don't think anyone's ever done that skit before. That's crazy. That's golden stuff. That's crazy.
It's good to see someone's corner the market on just being bored. You know, like
I've never seen anyone do that.
It's funny. If I watch a video, I'd be laughing, dude, because we've all been there, right?
Oh my, relatable.
Oh my God, Dane Cook covered that in 2004, and it was still not funny then. But
do you remember? On Sundays when there's no football and you get kind of bored?
Oh my God,
isn't that the most
what
relatable
am I gonna do
thing?
with the day? And then you know what the worst part is? The Sunday scaries.
Oh no, don't! No, it's too edgy. That's way too edgy.
I know.
That's too edgy.
I should have saved that one, but
Sunday scaries. No one's ever covered that before.
I know.
That's tough. And then when your girlfriend calls and says, "Honey, where are you?" Oh my God. That's the craziest.
He's in trouble. Who's been there?
He was out too late the night before. And then she takes the kids. No.
Yeah. That's the next one. That's the next stand-up special.
That's Matt Light's next week. That's his next skit next week.
Yeah, we shouldn't really undercut this guy, his comedic routine that we probably stole within 2 minutes of improv right there.
Yeah, no, I have a feeling that his comedy routines are very like he loves to use the laughing emojis. Like you use the laughing emojis, you got a big issue. Like you're not funny. Like I when people text me laughing emojis, I'm like, you're extremely weird. So
unless it's like a parent or something where you gotta bridge the gap and connect to them. So like, this is funny.
Our age. No, if you're over like 35, like my mom loves emojis, like go for it, good, like fine. But it's like if you're our age and you're using like emojis with like that sparing, that often, it's a little weird. So I'm not the biggest emoji guy. I use them more as jokes, but that's enough of all that fun stuff. The Crosby stuff that we could have went.
It didn't go into Crosby. It just now just nuking this guy from Pittsburgh.
this random ass friggin' Pittsburgh comedian who's just out here trying to be funny. Not doing a great job.
Not good at it, but
yeah. Anyways, so you wrote a piece this past week on the Seattle expansion draft, which people should not forget. It's coming. It's after this season. Like Seattle's here. The Kraken are here. Everyone's gonna love the Kraken until the Kraken takes their favorite player. That's my little prediction is that same with the Golden Knights. Until they come and steal Jonathan Marchessault or they're gonna steal someone who's low key nasty and then becomes a superstar out in Seattle. But it's funny going into this year with the Bruins. It was pretty clear with the 7-3-1 who they were going to protect. Obviously, it was your McAvoys, your Grizzlies, your Carlos, Raskin net up front. Obviously Bertrand, Marchand, Pastrnak, Coyle. Like it was pretty obvious who they were going to select. Yeah. The problem is though that these young guys. The con to these young guys doing so well, your Lozons, your Zaborals, your Trent Fredericks, is you got to figure out how to protect these guys and who not to protect. Tell us a little bit about what your thoughts on that were.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be a good and bad thing, right? The good thing is that the Bruins this year are being helped out by a lot of other guys, whether it be newcomers or younger players taking a big step forward and helping out the team. Problem is, you're making it more complicated down the road when it comes to choosing who to protect. Because I think going into the year, if the Bruins did the 7-3-1 format where they protect 7 forwards and 3 defensemen, you're imagining, you cover guys like Bergeron, Marchand, Pastrnak. Coyle has a no movement clause, so he's protected. DeBrusque, Smith probably. And then
You didn't
maybe,
sign Smith to that long a deal to not have him be protected.
And then Kasha, maybe if they expected he'd be healthy, I think people were expecting big things from him. So he'd be a guy who you'd probably protect where he's going to be an RFA and re-sign him. And then defense would seem like it was going to be easy, right? Where it's McAvoy, Carlo, and Grzelcyk. I mean, those are your 3, returning veterans on the team, 3 guys who all should be, keep on getting better and better. But all of a sudden now it gets a lot more complicated where you've got a situation where, especially on defense, I think is where a lot of people are talking about it now. And again, we're a quarter of the way through the year, so this is probably going to change multiple times, but it just goes to show how much, the outlook of a roster can change in the span of, 13, 14 games. Is that now people are making the argument that on defense, they'd rather protect a guy like Lauzon than a guy like Grzelcyk because of Grzelcyk's, unfortunate run-in with injuries this year, which, I mean, if you leave Lauzon unprotected, I think it'd be awfully tempting for a team like Seattle. One, his age, his contract, he's on a contract for under $1 million next year, then he becomes an RFA. And he's proven, even though he may not be flashy, he's still a minutes-eating guy, a good PK guy, which if you're building a team, you have a guy like him added to the mix. Like it's a good get for your new decor you have there. But I mean, I'd still be hesitant to do it, at least for right now, just because I still think the Bruins are a lot better when Matt Grzelcyk's in the lineup. It remains to be seen when he's going to be back, but I think he's still probably your best option for the power play. The numbers looked good when he was in there for as limited as it was. And I think you miss him both with Kahlo, where they were pretty much like a shutdown pairing. Like it wasn't like the Krug-Kahlo mix before. Like you had Grzelcyk and Kahlo getting like 35% of their offensive zone faceoffs. So Cassidy was relying on those guys to start in the D zone and break the puck out. And I think, especially you look at that game against the Islanders they lost, that was, I think, the first time where I think you really saw the Bruins miss Grzelcyk, where you missed that defenseman who's good at the breakout, good at that first pass, and a good kind of counter to what the forecheck is that the Islanders bring. So, again, we'll see how the season goes, right? It could be a situation where Grzelcyk, unfortunately continues to get hurt and Lauzon keeps on elevating his stock. Then I'll probably switch my opinion there. But for right now, I think that's the biggest thing on defense. And then up front, you have Richie added to the mix. You have Frederick, who's the guy I protected, just because even though Frederick hasn't produced offensively yet, I think you can clearly see how much more improved he is this year, even as just, a 5-on-5 puck possession guy, the intangibles he brings outside of just offensive, production. The fact that he's a center by trade. So I imagine once, if Sean Crowley signs elsewhere this year, he's kind of the next guy up there as your 4C for the foreseeable future. So I think that's a guy you have to weigh. So, I mean, yeah, my group was the same group, except I swapped out Kasha for Frederick and I kept the decor the same, but it can change a lot over the span of, even the next couple of games.
Oh, and it will. And here's the thing I think people need to realize is obviously when you don't protect someone, obviously you leave them open to be taken, but that doesn't mean they're going to be taken automatically. So if you have, let's say you protect Lauzon and you have Grzelcyk open and Bjork open and maybe Frederick open, like it might be a tough call for teams. Maybe they don't necessarily take Grzelcyk. Now I think they would. They'd be dumb not to take Grzelcyk if you left him open. That's why I think a guy like Grzelcyk, his puck moving abilities, his ability to fit with Carlo, that stuff doesn't grow on trees. Not to say Lauzon does, but I think it's easier to develop a minutes-eating, shutdown, left-shot defenseman, more so than it is a puck-moving, good power play-like defenseman with Grzelcyk. So maybe Grzelcyk would be the guy to protect in that situation. And given also that he has a much larger sample size of success compared to Lauzon, which is just this year. Now, again, who knows? As you said, who knows how the next few months pan out. But again, I going into this year, the guy who I think we all expected to be taken was Bjork. That was the guy who, and honestly, I think would be the best fit for Seattle. Like, he's in need of a new place. Just give him a new place, fresh start. Like, if Bjork went to Seattle and put up 40 points, I don't think anyone's like, oh man, the Bruins messed that one up. It's more like, no, they really just didn't have a spot for him, and he flourished out there, and good for him. Like, I don't think that's like the Bruins missed out on this guy. But still, I mean, maybe they take Nick Ritchie. Maybe they grab Nick. So who knows? There's a lot. I think now the Bruins are making a case of they have a lot of guys that Seattle might want, and again, it depends on what they, I guess what they're looking for, because obviously they're not trying to get necessarily the best player from every team. It's more, how do we fit this guy here and this guy there? So that'll be interesting to sort of see how that works with them out there, because Bruins have some people now. Initially, it was sort of just Bjork. Now you got a couple guys to choose from if you're Seattle. So also they can make trades. So
yes,
maybe they trade for David Pastrnak. Maybe they just
maybe
they get Crosby. Maybe they get Crosby.
You never know.
So who knows? But that is today's episode. Connor, before you go, what can the people look forward to at Boston Sports Journal?
Yeah, we're going to be taking a look. Obviously, we're breaking down, looking ahead rather to the Lake Tahoe game, which will be interesting. Seems like not a lot of Flyers going to be playing in that game. I think they might they might technically be playing against the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, I think is what their AHL team is. So
yes.
So they might be playing those guys. We'll be breaking that down, planning that out. We'll be looking at a few guys down in Providence, taking a little bit of a deeper dive on those guys, because I think Jakob Lauko has been great down there so far in the early going. So
the Marlboro Bruins.
Yeah, that's the guy that I think a lot of fans are really excited to see. And even though that's a young team down in Providence, it's still got a lot of promising young talent out there who are making pretty good strides. So we'll be taking a look at that as well. So all of that will be over at BSJ. So subscribe over at BostonSportsJournal.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do that at ConorRyan_93.
Do all that. And you also have an exclusive one-on-one coming out with Matt Light, right? The comedian.
That is true. It's actually, it's kind of it's kind of like sort of a stand-up routine. Like it's kind of like a commentary, but it's kind of, he told me his favorite comedic influence was Dane Cook, which is, the guy who really, hits on all the, the right notes on, what makes people laugh in America, especially in 2021. So I think it's going to be kind of similar to one of those routines. So it's just, it's Matt going through his daily life and just poking fun of the everyday things that just make us chuckle. So it's going to be
Matt.
Oh. It's going to be a real barn burner. It's going to be a hoot, as the kids say these days. So be sure to check that out, because, my God, it's just, it's a barrel full of fun, as they say. So look forward to that.
Oh, my God. I can't wait to laugh. It feels like it's going to be like it's going to be some SNL caliber.
Of course. Like 2020 SNL, like the good stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like those skits, just so good. They need Matt Light. But anyways, that is today's episode of Poke the Bear. Hopefully you had a good time with us, and we will see you next time, and have a great rest of your day.